Welcome, everyone. I am Kate Balderston, joining us from the Center for Operational Excellence. I'd like to welcome you to our 3 o'clock session here in the green table room. Hopefully in the right spot. We'd like to say hello to everyone joining us on the video today. It is my pleasure to introduce Liz Christianson, Vice President of Sales and Consultation at Kuali. And she is here to discuss processes. Sorry, Liz, you're going to have to help me out. My screenshot. Macro processes. Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just hadn't heard that I need to hold this microphone. It's going to be a live demo, so we're going to figure out how to do this along the way. But I am starting with some slides, so this will be great. Yes, somebody might hold this to the side. So hopefully, thank you, everybody who's here in person. Thank you for coming. There was one person here for a long time. Thank you for that, so that I wasn't here all by ourselves. When we first saw the theme for this year, build, unbuild, rebuild, we were really excited about that because, of course, we are Kuali Build. And so we believe that you can build, unbuild, rebuild with Kuali Build. We were really excited about that. So for this presentation, we're going to start with, for those of you who are unfamiliar with who we are as a company, we'll start with that really shortly. I know a lot of you are familiar with us. Go ahead and put aside anything that you know about our company and come on this little journey with me. Then we'll talk about why Kuali Build, waste not, want not, because we, of course, are talking about getting lean in our processes here at Process Palooza. So we are Kuali, and we make amazing software exclusively for higher ed. We don't make software for anyone else. So we feel that we have our mission statement is tied to that higher ed mission statement, working for the next generation of student success, research, community service. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, we started as a group of schools in 2004. Out there in the marketplace, there really wasn't software that was made exclusively for higher ed, or actually met the needs, I should say, of higher ed. So in 2004, a group of schools got together, MIT and Berkeley, and a bunch of them started it and created software for higher ed. In 2014, we decided that it was time for that group to incorporate, professionalize, and that's the company that we are today. But we keep that community of schools around us to make sure, as our design partners, to make sure we're still making software for higher ed. We focus on user experience. I know here at the conference, I've talked to a number of you about UX, making sure that your users have that kind of intuitive interface to be able to use our product. We focus on modern software. And what does that mean? Everybody says that. What does that mean for us? That means that we practice continuous delivery. So the moment that we have some kind of new feature or an enhancement of a feature, we go ahead, ship that. We have a versionless solution. So there's never going to be a time where you're going to be asked to dedicate some software resources to migrating to a new version, right? You are always on the most up-to-date version of Kuali Build. As a company, right? As a company, we are a business process automation company. We do that in a lot of different ways. We do that for research administration. We do that for your curriculum management. We do that for your business continuity and your financial system. The one that we're focusing here on today is that one that you see in yellow. It's our business process platform, right? Our no-code business process platform, where it's a standalone, right? A standalone forms and workflow automation tool, but it's also able to augment all of our other product lines. So that's how we finally get to Kuali Build. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Why Kuali Build is that second question. And then we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get to that macro automation that we talked about. So we came in to answer the question, 20 years in digital transformation, why do our campuses still have so many PDF and paper processes? There's chuckles in the room for those of you who can't hear it. Why haven't we solved this problem yet? You know, the first answer is it's really hard. It is really, really hard. And any of you that have tried to solve this problem across a campus, you know that it's hard. This is one of our first customers, University of Utah. We went up and whiteboarded out this 42-step process that they had, that they needed, with a lot of branching to be able to do something like this in a custom web application. Just that heavy, heavy cost of custom web application is overwhelming. And not just the initial development of it, right? It's all that maintenance of it over time, security patches, all of those things. Then we went out as we were trying to find out, why have our institutions not solved the automation problem yet with processes? In the marketplace, we found this dichotomy of solutions. On one end, all of you have these solutions. You have Google Forms, things like that, SurveyMonkey, which are fantastic, right? But they can't meet your data security needs. They can't move through that dynamic workflow. On the other end, and I know almost all of you also have something like ServiceNow or Mendex or OnBase, a really powerful type of solution that you need to be an engineer and in many cases, a senior engineer to be able to use those processes. So what do we want to do? We want to hit that sweet spot in the middle. We want to be powerful enough for IT, but simple and easy enough for your typical non-technical user to be able to automate their processes. We want to enable IT, chip away at their backlog, right? But empower departments to create and own their own solutions. So that is Kuali Build. Here's a short list. When we want to do this with Kuali Build, then we have all these different forms. So as you know, the name of this presentation is that macro automation. I want to get there, but I want to talk about first, how do we automate processes? We're going to that was our first attack. And then how do we figure out how to do the rest in our own lean way? So first, let's talk about automating processes. And this is going to be that part. I'm actually going to ask my cohort, Paul, to come up. And I don't know, Paul, if you have to stand on this side of me or where you need to stand, but let's talk about first, I think you're good. First, automating processes, right? Is that going to be uncomfortable for you the whole time, Paul? There you go. Look at that. All right, let's talk about automating processes. Here's my instance of Kuali Build. Each one of these icons represents a Kuali Build app. So I want you to think about one app as a container for the form, the automation process, right? And the document management. You want to know where each one of those forms are. You want to have that transparency in those forms. So you start building a form, and the first place you're going to go is our form builder. And remember, we're talking about how do we solve this problem? Then we need to automate this problem. We need to be able to drag and drop in. If we're, your typical non-technical user, I need to be able to drag and drop in fields like a data lookup field and just be able to choose a data source that's been set up on the back end by my technical folks, right? So I can choose a data source and go directly to it. So let's jump to a form where I've chosen a bunch of data sources. I've chosen a data source that's going to feed me my student's name. Who is signed into the SSO? Well, Jamie Smith is signed into the SSO. I know more information about Jamie Smith than just her name. So I can drag and drop in. You can see this anchor field and you can see this linked field. I can drag and drop in fields. What about this field that I've dragged and dropped in? Here's my list of programs on campus, curriculum management programs, right? And then I can have these linked fields to it. Right? So, and I can do all of this just by dragging and dropping those in and creating a beautiful form that's automatically mobile ready. As we know, about 5 years ago, I used to do these presentations and I would say, with our digitally native students who have never known a world without a cell phone or a computer, right? They expect to be able to fill out every form, and I can probably hold for a second for you, every form in the park at midnight, right? But now, 5 years later, it's student, faculty, and staff, right? You don't have faculty out there that aren't on the train home at night or somewhere, away from their computer, away from their desktop or laptop that say, oh, I should be able to do that approval on my phone, right? So automatically mobile ready, automatically accessible, you can create these forms, right? Remember, we're still in the first part of the problem. So after I create the form, I need to be able to, let's jump to this. I forgot that I wanted to make sure that you saw that it's not just a simple form. more complex forms, a lot of conditional visibility that I am just creating by simply dragging and dropping and creating a rule. I don't have to create any code. I didn't really introduce myself at first, but I do still teach English literature, and I create forms and workflows every day in Kuali Build. All right, so after I create that form, right, I create this form, I want to create a workflow attached to that form. So I'm just going to go right to my workflow tool. I can drag and drop in an approval. I can route. We want to remember streamline processes. We want to get rid of waste. We want to get lean. And that means we want to do the best practice of role-based approvals, right? So we don't want to go, if somebody leaves a particular role, your department chair leaves and admin leaves, and you don't want to have to go into every single workflow and change their name. I have nods in the audience. You want to be able to just go into your role system and change their name. And so I can just say, okay, well, I want this to route to a person in a group. It says, well, where do you want to get that from? I want to get that from that department on my form. Well, what role do you want? Well, I want the department chair. And now I have created that approval. And I can go through here and I don't know, let me ask you, I don't know what time, do we start right on time? So I want to make sure I end on time. I can use, again, without coding, I can create, what if this student wants to change their program? I'm going to put it right there and I can drag and drop it around. Wants to change their program to microbiology. And in the microbiology program, you have to have a 3.0 to be able to apply. Well, remember, I want to get lean. I don't want to send this approval to anyone if they don't qualify. So I'm just going to write a rule, and I'm just going to say when that student GPA is less than 3. When it's less than 3, it's going to go an alternative branch. I can drag in my default branch, and I'm just going to send an email notification to that student saying, why are you applying to this program that you know you're not qualified for? So, and then I've gotten lean. I'm going to say that as gently as I possibly can. So let's jump to another workflow where I've built that out for you, right? So I have my default branch, department chair, college dean. My branch that I configured here has to do with history, the Department of History. If it's the Department of History, it has an alternative branch because history won't behave, as we all know. That was a little pun joke for all of you. All right. And then I have my student email notification. Hey, your program change request has been approved. And every variable on the form can be used, or every data field, I should say, on the form can be used as a variable in that email. And then, of course, one of those big streamlines is anytime I want to then, am I okay? Okay, what's your question? There is role-based approval. Yeah, absolutely. Role-based, right. Role-based approvals and role-based permissions, right? So you can make sure that everybody is staying in their place. So this is our integration step type. As you saw me in the form, I was reading information in, right? And in the workflow, I'm pushing information back into your system so I can update your system when something's been approved. Now, I'm not even going to show it to you because this is the coolest thing, but of course, we've got to get to the actual meat of today's presentation. This is our workflow simulator. So before we got our workflow simulator, I have tested hundreds of workflows. I've literally tested hundreds of workflows. And before we got our simulator, I would have to put in my own dummy email, right? This is not a lean process to be able to test a workflow. So we finally got our simulator where I can run my test. I can validate that my form is working the way that I want to work. I love this highlight here. So you create a 10-page form and every single field on that form is required. Then when you have to test it through all your variables in your workflow, you have to either fill out the whole 10-page form every time for your test, or you have to go deconstruct your form that you've just built. In this case, our simulator is able to show you the fields that are required for the workflow to actually move forward. And those are the only fields that you need to actually fill out. Okay, I'm moving along as fast as I can. Remember that a single Kuali Build app contains the form, the workflow, and the document dashboard. Let's move to that document dashboard real quick. One key thing that I want to show you before we get to our major thing of the night is Every data field in the form is available for you as a column in your document dashboard. So you can decide which ones you want to see, which ones you don't want to see, how you want to sort them, filter them, right? And manage them. All of those things that you want to see. I would love to talk to you about all of that, this management, including scheduling reminders and reassigning all of those beautiful things. But we're going to jump forward now. I want to come here and I want to talk about the challenges, even if you have an automation tool, just like I just showed you, right? So you're in your department, we have siloed process needs, we have siloed solutions, we have system solutions and local solutions. All of this creates a lot of waste. When we're trying to get lean, it creates a lot of waste. So how do we do that? We have found that there are two distinct questions that we are trying to answer. One is, and that's what I showed you all the way up until now, how do you safely and securely automate processes across a campus? I want to automate this process and this process and this process. The second is distinct but absolutely necessary. How do you safely and securely manage an automation tool across your campus? Sean's here, Sean Monroe from UCSD, and he knows, he's been working on how do you manage an automation tool across your campus? Well, I'm going to show you how you manage an automation tool across your campus. And this is that idea of macro, right? If I say that I need central IT to empower their departments, I need central IT to allow citizen development, then central IT has to have the power to be able to do that. Let's look at how you distribute management across a campus in spaces. And I go here to the system settings. We're at Barnett University, of course, where Indiana Jones teaches, for all of you that want. So right now I'm in that central system, right? I'm in the central home system, but you can see I have a parent-child relationship here with all of my subtenants, my College of Humanities, Life Sciences, Fine Arts, HR, Research, IT, and each one of them can have a subtenant that that are able, sorry, sometimes I just start stuttering. You are able then to manage your own space while having that central governance, right, over your data in the central system. Let's drill down on the College of Humanities. The College of Humanities has their own apps, right, distinct from all the other tenants in this space. They have their own integrations. They have their own branding, if your university allows that, so they can be the College of Humanities. The College of Humanities has a bunch of children. English, linguistics, departments. Let's drill down on the Department of English. Now, the College of Humanities has given them the right to have their own apps, their own integration, their own branding. But the Department of English has a bunch of children. Now, they're not letting their children do very much, but they are allowing their children to create their own forms, create their own workflows, make all of that work for them. So they can't brand. They don't want some branding for, British Lit on their campus, but they are allowing them to own their own space and be able to solve their own problems. So this is what we assert here at Kuali. You are not going to solve that automation problem on your campus. You're not going to solve that problem of the PDF or paper process until you stop it at where it starts. And it starts in the department, right? It's those department admins that are looking at you, pleading with you for a solution. But by golly, if they don't have one, they will figure it out. They'll go rogue on you. Or, either they'll buy their own solution, not an IT vetted solution. We want an IT vetted solution. Or they'll just keep making PDF and paper forms. And they'll just keep passing out those forms, and we'll have a really non-transparent system. Our goal is to have transparency, data governance, and automation so we can get rid of that waste and become a lean campus. Okay, I think we're at time. Are we at time? We're at time. So thank you so much for joining us here in this class. Here in this room, we're able to have a Q&A after that. I believe this is where we shut this part down, though. Do we? Should I pass it over to you?
And
I'll go ahead.
thank you.
There we go. There you are.
I am just back to say thank you so much, Liz, for all of that great information, and a friendly reminder that our closing ceremony for Process Palooza is taking place at 4:00 in the Price Center Theater, which is where we just watched the awards for the great innovation. So thank you so much. If Liz has time, feel free to answer Q&A, but that is all for us. Thank you so much.